Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Thursday morning to you all. I hope you guys are doing awesome out there this morning and having a wonderful start to your day and a great week out there so far. As we draw a little bit closer to that weekend, we have many things to talk about in this morning's video. And as you can tell, there's about 1,000 tabs pulled up on your screen. But don't worry, this video is not going to be any longer than the other videos. At least I don't think it is. Hopefully, I don't get to that 40-minute mark and I'm still talking. But a lot of these tabs will be able to work our way through pretty quick, as a lot of them is just zoomed in images of the predicted snow amounts for certain areas. And that's what we're going to talk about. Snow is going to be the big topic. The first place we'll talk about is New England, as we've had changes overnight. And we always kind of thought there was going to be the potential for some changes right up to this event, and sure enough, it looks like we are getting those changes. So I'm going to show you all the latest information, go over a lot of model guidance. I'll compare what the models are saying as far as snowfall totals and what actual humans are saying as far as the experts of the National Weather Service. So we'll do that for you folks. Then we'll have a separate segment for the central and southern apps, including like West Virginia, Virginia, Tennessee, Kentucky, etc. And then we'll work our way across the entire lower 48 as far as your Thursday forecast. And we'll kind of work our way into Friday morning with that too. And we'll zoom into, Wisconsin, Michigan, the Midwest states, the Ohio Valley. We got a lot to speak on, that's for sure, as we have one heck of a winter storm impacting areas of the upper Midwest this morning. Minneapolis, for example, is getting a ton of snow right at this moment. So definitely a snow globe vibe ongoing right now. I definitely wish that was happening in my neck of the woods. I would be, I would be just happy is an understatement, that's for sure. But anyways, if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. If anybody has anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put it in the comments below. Let's get rocking and rolling this morning. So let's start out by talking about what's going on right now. Like I said, snowing like crazy in Minnesota, still snowing back here in North Dakota. We got snow starting to move into western Wisconsin right now, and it will pretty much take over most of the state of Wisconsin. Places like Milwaukee will get their biggest snowfall of the winter, probably Green Bay also. And they've bumped up the snowfall totals for like Chicago also. And we're going to zoom into all that when we work our way throughout the video. Definitely take advantage of those timestamps. There'll be many timestamps up in this video. As far as the Northeast, this will be a big topic right at the beginning of this video. It's pretty quiet. We just have some snow showers up here in the Adirondacks and northern sections of New England, a little bit of shower activity for eastern sections of the Carolinas, and a little bit of weather moving into the Pacific Northwest. So that's what's going on right now. Really, I'm showing you this at the beginning because this energy you see right here is going to pretty much connect with what we're about to talk about. So first thing we'll speak on is the global models. We'll work our way through this pretty quick. So this is starting off right now. Obviously, the first system is moving on out. We'll move throughout the day today. We'll get into tomorrow morning. And we could wake up to some rain showers, snow showers throughout, really anywhere in the Northeast. Even though it's not really showing up, it could be there. See this blob of blue, between basically around the Boston Points North area. That certainly can be in the form of some snow showers. And then we start to move into tomorrow afternoon. Here's the low pressure developing off the mid-Atlantic coastline. And then is a pretty strong low pressure right off the coast of the mid-Atlantic. And I just remembered I don't have any panels pulled up for Atlantic Canada, so I might do that on the fly for you folks. So stay tuned for that if you're living in Canada. I might just have to pull up a couple things on the fly. But anyways, let's keep going. Let's not mess up our momentum we got going on here. But this is the GFS. You see strong low pressure right off the coastline of southern New England. We have a band of precipitation tomorrow evening. Making its way into southern New England. We got scattered snow all the way back down here to West Virginia, the mountains of the central and southern Alps. We have just scattered energy all over the place inland. But this is the big story here. I would say could potentially be a bigger story. Now, we're working our way into tomorrow evening. We're getting into the overnight hours. This develops into a strong winter storm for western Nova Scotia. Look at this heavy snow. Man, you guys could get hit pretty hard with this, especially right at the beginning of the storm. But that snowfall shield, the heaviest snow is just off the coastline. I'm certainly very interested to see what happens out on Cape Cod, places like that. But look at all the light to moderate snow still falling back here tomorrow night here in New York State, just anywhere in the Northeast, New England. And then this begins to pull on out, but we're still going to be left over just scattered snow showers and bursts of snow throughout New England and the Northeast. And I think this will linger all the way through a Saturday. Look at the snow showers and light snow throughout southern New England, even Long Island. And then this begins to pull on out. What about the latest Euro? Now, I think we do have the latest 06Z Euro. We do. Good. So this is the latest European model. I hadn't even looked at it yet. So this is new to you and it's new to me. So we get this going. I mean, check it out. This is tomorrow afternoon. Look, we got this blob of blue you see is basically just light snow. It could be anywhere. The darker blue, that's more so moderate snow. And we keep this going. And man, look at that trend. This is new information. All right, so this is for tomorrow evening. That low pressure, you can see the L creeping up on your screen. It's close enough to bring moderate snow into Boston, Southeast Mass, Rhode Island. We've been talking about this for a while, about this had the potential to have a northwest trend to it. It's all rain in New York City, but just outside of New York City, it's snowing, potentially snowing close to Philadelphia. And we keep this going. And look at this. This is getting into tomorrow evening. Man, there is a band of heavy snow trying to develop around the Boston Points, South Points, North area. Rhode Island, this is very close. Look at this area of snow back here associated with kind of the inverted trough, this back end energy. And man, this is close. And it delivers a band of heavy snow, maybe all the way up to the down east areas of Maine. And then we have this back end snow as we're getting into like the wee hours of the morning, Saturday morning, that could bring some light snow, some festive flurries, mood flakes across New Jersey, Long Island, New York City, down to Philadelphia, heck, maybe all the way down to the Baltimore, D.C. area. And look, I mean, this looks like it gets heavy tomorrow, Saturday morning, around the New York City area. And then basically Saturday, we could just have snow showers throughout all of the Northeast. Everybody has a chance of it. But I'm telling you, that is the big storyline here. That is moderate to heavy snow breaking out right at the far northwest flank of this precipitation shield of this low pressure. Okay, now the short range models are even more impressive. This is the latest 3km NAM. Okay, and there was some chatter about this yesterday about how the global models were probably underdoing the precipitation shield expanding northwest. And sure enough, here it goes, the NAM getting into tomorrow afternoon. I mean, it's snowing in New York City according to the NAM. I don't know if I'm buying that about, here, this is the low pressure out here, okay? You can see the heavier precipitation off the, southern New England coastline and the northeast coastline. Look at the snow showers already breaking out across southern New England. Just widespread light, moderate, at times heavy bursts of snow across New York State, Pennsylvania. I mean, really anywhere could see it. But look at this. As we're getting into Friday evening, tomorrow evening, look at this heavy snow breaking out across Long Island. Rhode Island, Connecticut, certainly Eastern Mass. And then dynamic cooling happens and it switches to heavy, wet snow across Southeast Mass, Martha's Vineyard, Nantucket. I mean, out here at Cape Cod, the snow tries to reach the Maine coastline all the way up to New Hampshire. And all of a sudden, you get this band of snow over Boston, and it just starts nuking snow on you guys. I'm telling you, this is something you got to pay attention to. Don't let this catch you off guard. We've been talking about this for a while. And then look at the back end of energy all the way back here in New York State, PA. We got snowflakes as far south as maybe Philadelphia, Baltimore, places like that. And the snow continues into the overnight hours, and then it wraps up. And look, this is close enough to deliver one heck of a snowstorm for the down east areas of Maine, kind of an area that if you're a snow fan, you guys have not really gotten a lot of snow so far this winter. It's been more to your north and west, but this delivers snow all the way into Maine. How far west does it get in Maine? And then this continues, and then look at this back-end precipitation Saturday. I'm excited for you guys if you're a snow fan. I kind of live through you all sometimes. But, you got some lake-enhanced stuff. Look at this just scattered snows across the northeast, anywhere. Name a state. And look, we got some snow showers getting all the way into Delaware. Look at this band of snow going through New York City Saturday morning. And then same thing. Throughout Saturday, we could just have scattered snows everywhere. And guys, it's the same with the NAM 12KM, which I don't show this as much, but I'll kind of go through this quicker. Friday afternoon, it wants to just deliver a flat-out snowstorm from, almost Delaware all the way to New York City to Boston, down 95 corridor. That's heavy snow in that dark blue. So what's going to happen? I think today is obviously a massive last 24-hour period before the storm moves in of model watching. And you can even look at the HRRR model, the HRRR model. Here it comes, and even look at the precipitation shield working its way towards the southern New England coastline. This is Friday afternoon, tomorrow afternoon. And, it's not as crazy as getting snow all the way to the Jersey Shore, Long Island, but it does get it close enough. And I'll go and just get a little bit closer. It does get it close enough to southern New England, Rhode Island, southeast Mass, up to Boston, and deliver this heavy, and I would say this would be heavy snow band for Boston. Doesn't last that long, but man, look how it switches to heavy snow tomorrow night, southeast Mass, Cape Cod. And man, I'm telling you, this could be a surprise for some people. I say it could be. If you would consider it a surprise. That's why you got to pay attention day by day with these runs. NAM 12 km, NAM 3 km, snowfall totals with this. Folks, obviously you're going to get light to moderate snowfall accumulations off. And we're going to look at some global models, and then we'll look at what the experts are saying, okay? Which is going to be way off. I'm going to tell you that right off the dot. Light snowfall accumulations off the 3 km NAM, scattered throughout PA, just scattered half-inch to 3 or 4 inch snowfall totals. Elevation will play a big role into this. And then, it does show a nice event for western New York and just scattered amounts. But this is the coastal thing right here. This is the coastal setup. It wants to deliver a swath of 4 to as much as 7 or 8 inches of snow for these areas. And you go up and look at Maine too. This will be a big hit for Maine. Not big considering what your typical snowstorms, but down east areas of Maine could get hit hard with this. They could. So we'll zoom back out and look at New England. And we'll compare some other model guidance. For example, this is the 12 km NAM. Good gracious, it wants to hit Long Island with over a foot of snow. That's not a forecast, guys, but it just shows you. But then you look at some of these global models, guys, and it just never gets that heavy band close enough. Even now the Euro wants to deliver a few inches of snow for Boston, and it does deliver a nice event for you guys back in New York State, southern tier of New York, PA, and it does deliver a couple inches of snow down to New York City. So, man, this is a tough one. I'm telling you, it's the Canadian model, catches on to that back end snow event. And even, you look at the HRRR model with what I showed you before, and there's that band of snow, a couple inches of snow. So right now, I would say the NAM is off its rockers a little bit. But sometimes the NAM nails it. I'll just leave it at that. It has before. Sometimes it's in the bad way. Sometimes it's in a good way. But this is the National Weather Service forecast for all the areas I just talked about. They are picking up on a several inch snowfall event for the down east areas of Maine. Like, for example, looks like Eastport going for 4 to 6, 4 to 7 inches of snow. But everybody else, once you get west, inch or less. Caribou, 1 to 2. Machias, maybe is how you say it, 3 to 4 inches of snow. Bar Harbor, 2 to 3. Bangor, about an inch. But listen, I'm telling you right now, this could tweak quickly throughout the day. New Hampshire, scattered 1 to 2 inch snowfall totals is what they're going for. Portsmouth, Portsmouth, however way y'all pronounce that, 1 to 2 inches of snow. Manchester, an inch or less. This could change, especially the further southeast you get in New Hampshire. Now, Vermont, scattered 1 to 3 inch snowfall totals is the general theme. The Adirondacks, probably 2 to 5 to 6. I would say 2 to 5-ish inches of snow, depending on elevation. You live a little bit higher up, it's going to be colder. You'll get a little bit more snow. Watertown going for about 2 inches of snow between now and about 7 p.m. Saturday, so maybe a little bit more snow falling. Now, for whatever reason, they do not have an updated graphic for southern New England, which is the place I've been wanting to talk about the most. But for right now, they're going for around an inch in Boston, but just outside the Boston city limits, scattered 2 to 3 inch snowfall amounts. But I'm telling you, I would watch for this to tweak some. For example, you go a couple runs back, it still stays the same. If you see any movement behind me, my cat's back there licking its leg. Rocky, be polite, okay? But anyways, they're going for a couple inch snowfall amounts right here and eastern sections of Massachusetts and stuff. And listen, they're already honking the horn a little bit, even though it's not a big event. They're already kind of starting to sniff this out also. Okay, so we look at the rest of New York State. Buffalo around 2 inches, Syracuse 4, Rochester 4 inches. So this will just be a nice little light to kind of low-end moderate event. Scranton going for about 1 inch of snow, Albany about 2 inches. So this will just be a nice festive event, I would say. Not a high-impact event back here in the rest of New York. And here's more of Western New York. You know, just the general theme in Western New York is basically anywhere from 2 to as much as 5 inches of snow. Now we go down to New York City. This was updated around 3:30 this morning, so not too long ago. Danbury going for about 1 inch or so. Waterbury about 1 inch or so. New York City itself, for right now, going for about 1/2 inch of snow. But listen, that could change. It could change, especially out on Long Island. The further east you get out on Long Island, I'd watch this. And then PA, scattered a dusting. Like Harrisburg could get a dusting to 1 inch. Gettysburg, same thing. Philadelphia, maybe 1 inch or less. New Jersey. Northern New Jersey could get a couple inches of snow, but the rest of New Jersey, a dusting. But listen, I'm telling you, a lot of this stuff could change, especially once you get closer to New York City and New Jersey. But just the entire state of PA, the general theme is 1 inch to 2 inches of snow. Some areas less, some areas a couple inches more. Erie 2 to 4 inches, for example. So that's an update on the Northeast and sections of the Mid-Atlantic. Let's talk a little bit about the Southern apps, and this includes Kentucky, Tennessee, West Virginia, North Carolina, etc. I'm going to look at the NAM here. We're going to start this off from overnight tonight. We're going to get into tomorrow morning. Listen, this area could have definitely a festive day tomorrow as far as snow showers. It's Friday. I was joking on social media yesterday. I can be very sarcastic. It's always in a funny way. But it must be nice to live in these areas. They've had multiple light to moderate events, and I really think tomorrow, especially in eastern Kentucky, if you live in the mountains of North Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, could definitely be a festive night, a night to go out, look at Christmas lights with just a light to moderate snowfall event. But anyways, you start to get into tomorrow morning. This is getting to about midday. The NAM is a little aggressive with this. It wants to bring snow all the way down to the Cumberland Plateau. It wants to bring a moderate snow event for Kentucky, down to eastern Kentucky, some snow falling as far east as Charleston, West Virginia. And then eventually it gets this chunk of snow Friday afternoon all the way across the eastern half of Kentucky into western Virginia. And it starts to snow pretty heavily in the mountains of North Carolina and Tennessee, the Smokies, all the way up the Roan Mountain, Boone, Banner Elk. I think many small towns in the mountains of North Carolina and Tennessee could get a little bit of snow and accumulations. I think the Tri-Cities areas of Tennessee could certainly get a wintry mix, especially if this can hang on later in the evening. I think even the lower elevations, whether Johnson City, these places, just in the Tri-Cities areas, could certainly get some snow tomorrow evening. In fact, I think it's likely. It's just how much is it going to stick? Now, I will say, watch out for a little bit of snow flurry activity down in North Georgia, but, we start to get into tomorrow evening. And this mainly turns into an elevation thing. But listen, we're going to have a lot of energy still flying around. This is getting to late tomorrow night. Just snow showers still around. And all the way into Saturday morning, it still wants to show lingering energy kind of drifting through. So I think tomorrow night could definitely be a wintry, Christmassy like night across this entire area right in here. So enjoy it. Must be nice. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. But the HRRR model, not as aggressive with this. It looks like, we kind of fast forward to the area we were at. Not near as aggressive with that. It does have kind of waves of precipitation that look quite heavy across really the higher elevations of West Virginia, Kentucky, and Virginia. And it does get that snow going in the higher elevations of Tennessee and North Carolina. A little bit of snow hugging up against the Cumberland Plateau, but it definitely isn't as widespread. And it does bring some snow showers throughout Kentucky late tomorrow evening, West Virginia, southern Ohio. Eventually this energy could make it all the way Saturday morning down into eastern Tennessee. Definitely not as aggressive. Here's what the NAM is thinking. It does want to deliver a couple inches of snow across eastern and central Kentucky. It wants to deliver about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch of snow in sections of the Cumberland Plateau. It wants to deliver like a foot of snow in the Smokies. I don't know if I'm buying these heavier snowfall totals that NAM is showing. I definitely think it's a little off with this, but it'll be interesting to see what happens here. And, just to look at, say, the GFS with this, It's definitely not as crazy, but it does indicate that swath of snow around an inch or so, give or take a couple tenths of an inch across Kentucky. It does show the snow all the way down here into the Smokies and the higher elevations of like near Banner Hill. But it does show some snow into the Tri-Cities areas, and it does show a few inches of snow to several inches up into West Virginia. And here's the latest European model. And about the same thing, not a whole lot different. So we'll see what happens. Here's what the experts are saying up here in Maryland: inch or less of snow. Inch or less of snow. I always say that too fast and it sounds ridiculous. 3 to 4 inches of snow in Oakland, Maryland. We look at West Virginia. Higher elevations are favored. Charleston, I would like to study y'all's weather a little bit more. And I know I'm probably going to have some comments with this. It is always weird to me how the short range models show a lot of snow over you guys. But then I always hear, and including the National Weather Service, they never forecast much in Charleston, West Virginia. I wonder if y'all just have some influence. I know y'all are lower in elevation. I mean, that's the obvious thing. But I just wonder if there's any other things influencing how y'all get kind of ripped off a lot. And it would seem like you would get more snow than what you do because the Northwest flow events hit you guys, and you guys are, I believe, more so it looks like it, on the western side of the Appalachian Mountains, the highest elevation. So definitely let me know if you live in the Charleston area. Give me some feedback. I would love to hear some stories on why y'all might get kind of ripped off when it comes to these snow events, and what kind of events favor more snow for you guys. I imagine maybe a low pressure to your south probably would favor it more. But Snowshoe going for around 4 inches, Elkins 2 inches, Beckley about an inch, Logan an inch, only going for an inch or less in Charleston. And then we head a little bit further south. I could see some areas here in Western Virginia overachieving, maybe an inch or so, and kind of the highest elevations of Western Virginia. Beckley, like I said, that inch. Lewisburg, maybe an inch of snow. And I think we could get a wintry mix in Blacksburg at some point also, maybe a little bit of a dusting. Going for about an inch or less in Gatlinburg. Smokies, a couple inches of snow. Johnson City, inch or less. Mountain City, inch or less. And a little bit of snow in the northern sections of the Cumberland Plateau. And, of course, these higher hills and terrain in Kentucky and Virginia line, a few inches of snow is possible. And a little bit further up into Kentucky, anybody pretty much in eastern Kentucky could get about a trace to an inch of snow, but I could see some areas getting more. Black Mountain, 2 to 5, higher elevated region. Harlan, 1 to 2 inches of snow. Middlesboro, 1 to 2 inches of snow. So we'll see what happens with that. Now let's talk about today's weather. Now this is going to, if you're wondering, yelling at me through the screen in Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio and surrounding states, like, man, you did not talk about us. I got you covered here. But let's just kind of work our way to that. So today's forecast, really the big story of what's going on over the next 24 hours is this pretty potent winter storm. And really this is just northern stream driven, but it's some heavy snow. We got very heavy snow falling in Minneapolis right now, starting to move into western Wisconsin. And the pink, these are when we have these winter storm warnings. This does include Green Bay. Milwaukee, as of now, just a winter weather advisory. Same thing with Madison. This doesn't quite make it down to Chicago or Janesville. La Crosse, you have a winter weather advisory. But I really think a swath between, basically in central Wisconsin, is going to get hit pretty hard. We'll see if any of these advisories shift in lower Michigan, but not enough snow to even issue a winter weather advisory in sections of the UP of Michigan. But it is enough here in the most southern county of the UP of Michigan to issue a winter storm warning. So this is I would love something like this. I think Minneapolis is going to end up overachieving with this. I just have a feeling, but we'll go back to that here in a second. As far as the southeast, and by the way, there's no risk of thunderstorms or flash flooding today. That's why I didn't show you that graphic. But the southeast today, and I wouldn't say a nice day. There will be some gloomy clouds, but as far as heavy rain or any kind of weather, I wouldn't expect much. Some showers could develop in the eastern Carolinas later on this evening. Then we get into tomorrow morning, and then that's when our weather maker could start surging south from the north into the southern Alps. Could wake up to just more fog and sprinkles across the Carolinas. But everybody else, man, it's a pretty quiet day. Now, the northeast, you kind of have one day to kind of prepare. If you're not a big fan of the snow, going out and about in the snow, driving in the snow, I would do it today before the weather maker comes in late tonight and just delivers a very, I would say, wintry weekend. I really do think I think that and I always like to throw my own personal take into this, but you can't draw it up any better for the Northeast. It's going to be a wintry weekend, the last weekend before Christmas, last chance to do any last second shopping. I mean, to me, that's like the most hallmark scenario there is. I always look for certain vibes and scenes, and to me, I mean, you can't draw it up any better. The last weekend before Christmas, doing any kind of Christmas activities, last second shopping. To me, I know you guys are probably saying through the screen, man, you sound like a ding dong, but I always have thought it was cool just to go. I like the crazy hecticness. That's not even a word, but I like everybody acting crazy when there's a winter weather event coming on. I love it in the South. It just energizes me. You guys are more used to it up here. But starting tomorrow morning, here comes the snow moving in. We've already talked about this. And listen, once we get into tomorrow, the weather is definitely just going to be more wintry. I don't think anybody's going to get slammed. But like I said, the potential is there for a big-time winter weather event for southern New England. I would say if anybody's going to overachieve with snowfall totals, it's going to be southeast southern New England. But use today, calmer day, to kind of just do what you need to do. But the south central U.S., the weather continues just to be quiet. And I swear it has been quiet here for a very long time. A very long time. It is just, there's nothing went on, quiet weather. But we've seen what's happened the last several winters in this area. Seems like Mother Nature wants to throw the entire North Pole down in this area at least once a winter. So hopefully that doesn't happen for you guys. But it's quiet for now. All right, so we're going to spend some time on the north central U.S. Here's this big chunk of heavy snow surging through. We start to get into closer to midday. The snow begins to take over a good chunk of Wisconsin. Still snowing back here, though, in Milwaukee and starting to pull out the Dakotas. And then by the time we start to get into about 6, 7 o'clock this evening, this is when we could start to see a little bit of snow down here in Chicago, northern sections of Milwaukee. And I'm telling you, I think there's the potential. We'll go back to this. No winter weather advisories issued for Janesville, Rockford. I think we're going to get an extension of the winter weather advisories all the way down to Chicago. That's my guess. We'll see what happens. But it does want to bring an area of maybe heavy wet snow sometime this evening into northern Illinois. It's snowing like crazy in Milwaukee up to Green Bay. The snow begins to take over overnight areas of lower Michigan, but it probably lightens up as this low pressure begins to weaken. We'll get some snow up here in the UP of Michigan just throughout the overnight hours. And then this is when we have the opportunity for a little bit of snow down here in Indiana. A little bit of snow tomorrow morning down here in Ohio. You see the snow band making its way through. Still light to moderate snow just flying around tomorrow morning across lower Michigan. And then we have the snowflakes just kind of drifting around tomorrow afternoon across in the Midwest and Ohio Valley. And then we could have another surge of snow flurries late tomorrow night across Ohio and Indiana. But I don't think it's going to be a huge event by any means for you guys. Now, we'll focus in on the National Weather Service forecast. This is the total event forecast. I don't know how much snow has already fell in Minneapolis. Let me know. I know I got some people that tune in from that area. But it's saying 5 to 7 inches in the Minneapolis-St. Paul, Twin Cities area. Could be more than that. Let me know what you've already seen across Minnesota. Duluth, final total 4 to 7 inches. Rochester 2 to 4. But this event's already unfolding for Minnesota right now, so there's no point staying very long on that. Wisconsin is just getting going. They're going for an Eau Claire 5 to 7, Greenwood 5 to 7. This is kind of blurry, so hopefully you can see it okay. 3 to 5 on La Crosse. Milwaukee 3 to 5 inches. Janesville 2 to 4. Kenosha 2 to 4 inches of snow. Green Bay 4 to 7. Sturgeon Bay 6 to 10 inches. And up here in northern Wisconsin, anywhere from 3 to as much as 6 inches. 6 inches of snow. The UP of Michigan, the general theme is lighter totals in the eastern UP, higher totals in the western UP. So you can get anywhere from 3 to 5 inches of snow in the western UP, anywhere from 1 to 2 or so in the eastern UP. The rest of lower Michigan, Alpena could be the hot spot with this. 6 to 8 inches of snow. Grayling 2 to 3. Cadillac 3 to 4. Grand Rapids 2 to 3. Kalamazoo 2 to 3. Still got that weird little glitch going on here. 1 to 2 inches of snow in Detroit is what they're calling for. And I'm not going to skip you folks in Chicago. Listen, this could change, but they're going for 1 to 2 in Chicago. I don't think you guys gotten really any solid accumulating snow more than an inch. I don't think so. Tell me if I'm wrong. 1 to 2 inches of snow in Chicago, Rockford 2 to 4. I could see this maybe over here increasing. We'll see what happens. Not going to try to pronounce that. I know I've had a couple people correct me already, but not going to even attempt. But 1 to 2 inches of snow here in northern Indiana, and then we'll go to the rest of Indiana. Going for about 0 to a trace in Indianapolis. Some areas could get more, some less. South Bend, 1 to 2 inches of snow. Fort Wayne, 1 to 2. And then Ohio. 2 inches of snow in Cleveland. Toledo, 1 inch. Defiance, 1 inch. Cincinnati, inch or less. Wilmington, inch. Not a big event for you guys at all. The western U.S., quiet day of weather. Ridge dominating the pattern. Just rain showers up in Washington State mainly. And that's about it. And we'll wake up tomorrow morning to a little winter weather event ongoing in northeast Montana. But outside of that, it's pretty quiet weather. Temperatures are chilly across the Midwest, Ohio Valley, 30s. It's starting to cool back down for the southeast, but there's still one more warm day from the low country of South Carolina, southeast Georgia, down to Florida, 60s, 70s, even some 80s. Northeast, maybe a tick below average depending on your location, but in general, nothing too extreme one way or the other. South central U.S., pretty nice for mid to late December standards, and locked in below freezing once you get into Dakotas, points north, Minnesota, points north, and certainly warm across the western U.S. Folks, that's all I got. Didn't make it 40 to 45 minutes long. That's good, but for my folks in Canada, let's go on and show you guys that, because I do have a little bit of time. We can show you guys Canada. Let's see. I do apologize. I should have covered this earlier in the video. But for my folks in Newfoundland, where you at? Right here. All right. Latest Euro. What does it have for you guys? All right. This is what's going on right now. We'll move that forward. And we get into Friday morning. We'll get a break. And then there's the potential for a big winter storm, especially for Nova Scotia. For example, this is about the middle of the night tomorrow night. This is a big... I don't know what the locals are calling for, but I always like to have a little segment for my friends here in Atlanta, Canada. But this is a big snowstorm starting to hit Nova Scotia. A little bit of a wintry mix, I'm sure, as a low pressure tries to creep up close to the southern shorelines. But man, it wants to switch it to snow, to freezing rain across areas of Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island. This is all snow, but maybe not as much precipitation gets that far north. It wants to just mainly be rain, like out in southeast Newfoundland, freezing rain events in kind of south central Newfoundland, and then it could end up becoming a big freezing rain event across the rest of Newfoundland. It could switch to snow in certain areas of Nova Scotia, especially Cape Breton Island, and it could eventually switch to rain for most of Newfoundland, and then cold air kind of surges back in. But, you know, the latest GFS, let's see what that shows for you folks. And here it comes into tomorrow night. All snow at first for Nova Scotia. Friday night could start to mix with freezing rain or sleet, depending on if this is correct or not. Heavy snow continuing for northern Nova Scotia into northern Cape Breton Island, Prince Edward Island, and then eastern sections of New Brunswick. And then just a big wintry mix starts to hit you guys. Strong gusty winds. And could end up switching to rain. And Cape Breton Island stays all winter weather, I think, for western sections of Nova Scotia, though. And same thing, just it wants to develop a lot of freezing rain across central Newfoundland. And man, it just develops a huge storm system right here between Newfoundland and Nova Scotia. Very heavy snow gets up further north into eastern Canada. And then maybe a little bit of a dry slot kind of gets you guys in Newfoundland as we're getting into Sunday morning. But man, I don't know what they are calling for. I know there's a site I can look at, but I'm not going to try to pull it up on the fly. But as far as Euro with these snowfall totals, let's see what it's showing. I know you'll go off centimeters. And man, Nova Scotia, depend on where you live, but there you go. I'm not going to try to say it all here. Hopefully you're watching the screen, but this is how much snow they're calling for Prince Edward Island and Cape Breton Island and Nova Scotia, New Brunswick. The general theme in Newfoundland is less snow, if any at all, in southeast Newfoundland, more snow in northern Newfoundland, and then here's this axis of heavier snow between. And I do just want to mention the freezing rain. I know y'all go off millimeters. Listen, this freezing rain event, it shows freezing rain for almost all of Newfoundland and most of Nova Scotia and Cape Breton Island. this freezing rain event could be significant. So please take this serious. GFS with freezing rain, not quite as bad as the Euro, but it does show, a ton of snow. Let's see, man, it really hits Nova Scotia. I want to see what this looks like as far as inches. I mean, it wants to deliver a good foot and a half inches, a foot to a foot and a half of snow for a good chunk of Nova Scotia, and especially into northern Cape Breton Island and Prince Edward Island, into northern Newfoundland. So just want to add a little segment for you guys. I know that was really rushed, but anyways, God bless all y'all. Have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you again soon.